This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goze, that's Stitch Duran, that's Dan Tom, and the voice you hear in our heads, that's Danny Okers. He's out in New York. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing good. Hey, Danny, what's up, brother?
Hey, Stitch. Hey, you were over in Philly for a long time, and I didn't get a chance to see you.
Yeah, about 5 weeks, man. You know, it's nice to be home. So.
I feel like I missed my opportunity. I had shows in Philly, too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It was great. And I did a boxing show at the Barclay during that weekend. So it was nice to go to New York and kick some ass and then come back.
Well, the next time you're over here, for sure.
Sure.
Let's do something.
You guys didn't meet with all that time out there?
Well, you know, they had us working 12, 14 hours a day, it goes. You know, it was
Are you allowed to say what you were doing?
Yeah, I just can't talk about the script itself.
Okay.
But I could tell you the experience, and the experience was pretty nice.
Awesome. All right. So you guys want to hear about the time I punched myself in the nuts for no reason?
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right. Here we go.
You just got a lot louder all of a sudden.
Sorry,
Can you
what
turn up Stitch, by the way?
Go for it, Stitch.
Test one.
Better, Danny?
Test.
Yeah,
All right.
he can go up a little bit louder, too, but he's good there. But he can go up a little bit
A
more.
little bit louder, Goze.
All right.
There you go.
Here's what happened.
He didn't do nothing.
I was in class. This was an abnormal psych class, and I had my cell phone like this on the desk. Or no, wait. I had it kind of like resting on my fat belly, and I was trying to text under the table. And this is what I was told happened. I was told by somebody that, yeah, we were just kind of doing our thing, and then we looked at you, and we saw you sock yourself in the nuts, and we saw you roll your eyes, walk out of the classroom, like limp out, and then everyone started kind of like were concerned, and then everybody started laughing. Then they said, we talked about you for 15 minutes. Here's what really happened. My phone slipped out of my hands.
You must have been gone for 15 minutes then.
I was gone, yeah.
All right.
My phone slipped out of my hands like this. And it's a phone. I didn't want it to hit the floor. So you know how you just quickly react to trap it, right? Well, when I went to trap it, I missed the phone and just smacked myself in the nuts. But people never saw me texting. So then the teacher, when I came back, as soon as I came back, he might have even cursed. I think he said, "What the fuck was that all about?" You know? And I go, "Well,
I'm getting crazy over here."
Yeah, I didn't know what to say. And then he goes, "Let me tell you what I saw. I'm teaching the class. I'm looking in your direction, and then I just see you out of nowhere, grab your hand, smack yourself in the balls, and walk out of the class." And I was like, "Oh no, that's not really what happened." But yeah, so I was trying to trap the phone, and I just missed the phone, and I just smacked myself in the nuts. And
must have gone way down under to get them, huh?
the guy next to me, I was like, "Dude, you're right next to me. Why didn't you say anything?" He's like, "Well, I didn't want to blow your cover that you were on the phone, so I just said, I don't know what I was thinking."
Not my problem.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goze. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goze.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goze. He's our ace co-host. To my left, Dan Tom, the fight analyst. Back east, producing the whole show, as always, Danny Otto, our special co-host. He's sitting to our far right, boxing and MMA royalty, legendary cutman, Stitch Duran. What's up, Stitch?
And actor.
And actor, that's
Yeah,
right.
I'm doing good. It's good to be back.
And
man.
author. I mean, yeah.
I missed you guys. You know, I missed going to Langley and you, Steph, and I know you guys had a good time, but had to do what I had to do, and it's good to be back. But I head off again Wednesday to Athens, Greece for the second annual International Cutman Association Hand Wrapping Championships.
This week?
Next week.
Oh, next week. Okay,
Yeah,
so
next-
but you'll
week
be
from
at
today.
Bellator this Saturday.
No, because I was scheduled to continue filming until next week, so I passed on that date. But they gave us a week off, and so I came back, and so they had already had everybody booked. So I'm home for this weekend.
Oh,
So, but then I go back from Athens, Greece. I go straight to Philadelphia to finish filming for one day.
That's
So
it.
It's the final, man. So I'm glad to be back here. But I missed you guys, man.
Yeah. So Stitch, just to fill in some blanks, has been back in Philadelphia on the set of Creed 2. You were gone for what, 6 weeks?
5 weeks.
5 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same old gang. It seems like it got back together. I think there was a little bit of hesitancy early on that the director might not come back, Kugler, but he did.
No.
Oh, he didn't?
Stephen Cappell was the director.
I was
But-
reading about some of the actors were hesitant to come back if Ryan didn't come back. I thought they did come back, and that's why.
No, he didn't come back because
He didn't
he
come
was
back.
finishing up Black Panther, which now he's like the top director
Yeah.
in Hollywood. But young Steve Cappell, it's a group of young brothers. They're in their 30s. They all went to USC, studied film up there. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Stephen Cappell. You got Bernie Duran. They're a young team of guys that are really now they're from being actors, now they're writers, directors, and producers. And it's good. But, yeah, you still got Sly Stallone is back in the house, and it's always great working with him.
Yeah.
So what an experience, man. The storyline is tremendous. The fight scenes are – I'm still exhausted, brother, and I wasn't even fighting.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience.
Yeah, that's what I read was Michael B. Jordan was a little hesitant unless Ryan came back, and so I must have misread that.
Yeah.
I thought he did wind up coming back. But okay, you were in good hands with this other gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Capo.
Of course, man.
All from the same lineage of the same film school.
Of course, yeah. So it's going to be a good film. Comes out November 21st.
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's right around the time of Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, and that's
those
what
are
happened
good
last
releases,
time.
big releases.
Yeah, big time, yeah. So just in time for the Oscars.
That's cool.
And
All
I
right.
tell you what, man,
how's your role compared to the first one?
it's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the same. I came definitely and did some consulting on what are some of the right things to do and, just kind of make it as authentic as possible. But, let me add that this young kid that's playing Ivan Drago's son, Florian Munteanu from actually he's Romanian by nationality but born and raised in Munich, Germany. Like 6'4", 235 pounds, but God, he did a tremendous, tremendous job. And, and I'm telling Michael B. Jordan, I could see him being the new superhero in future movies. And Michael agreed. And this kid has a great future. And, he was an amateur boxer, was like 70 fights, never acted, but God, did a tremendous job.
What was he waiting for to turn pro?
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't ask me that
70
question.
amateur fights?
About 70 amateur fights. Yeah,
Wow.
but Europeans, Russians, and all that.
And boxing is a little different.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
so.
saw Andre Ward is also on the list.
Andre Ward is in the film,
Yeah.
and he did a good job. I finished up my last day filming there. Andre.
Did you hook that up?
No.
okay.
Andre, no. They, on the last one, Ryan Coogler from Oakland originally, so he
I
worked
got
with
you.
Andre Ward a little bit. And as a matter of fact, on the first movie, Andre Ward is the one that recommended me to be the cutman.
Okay.
Because they had Luis Guzman, which is an actor. We all know who he is. That
He looks
was
like
gonna-
Goze a little bit. Have you noticed that?
A little bit, yeah. So I took his part, right? And then what was cool, I did a fight, and we were talking about it. Andre Durrell fought at the Barclays Center. Oh, God, it's been a couple months ago. And after the fight, I'm up in the ring, and this guy with a beard like you comes up and says, I need you, in a British accent. I thought it was Australian. Says, I need you for 3 fights for the Creed movie, or 3 fights in April, he says. And I looked down, I said, well, I'm trying to hook up for the Creed movie. He goes, it's me, Kevin. It was Kevin Templeton, the producer. Him and Steve Cappell were there filming, they were getting B footage of the audience so they could incorporate that into the movie. And so I got to meet Steve Cappell at that point, and from there, man, everything was all systems go. So
man, you took Luis Guzman's character. For people who don't know that's he plays characters in like movies like Boogie Nights and stuff like that. And
Carlito's Way.
You
don't think he looks more like Joe Silva than Goze though? I think Guzman more like a Joe Silva. They're making.
It was funny because I did when I was still with the UFC. He was at the fights in Newark, right, and he's sitting obviously in the VIP seats, and I wanted to go meet him. I introduced myself to him, and I asked him. I said, "Whatever happened to the Creed movie?" He said, well, they called me, and then they never called me again. I said, man, I got your part. And we became friends after that.
Wow.
But it was funny, you're talking about looking like that. He went and did a speech at some university, and the guy says, all right, how many of you guys remembered me in Ghost? Right? And everybody raised their hands and said, you know what? Fuck you guys, man. That wasn't me. That was so-and-so. But that was that lookalike, right?
Yes.
But a great, great guy. And later on, after we hooked up and after the movie, I said, man, that role was designed for me, and he understood, so we become friends after that.
He was in Traffic, too.
In Traffic, yeah. And
Traffic's 18 years
with
old.
the Millers,
Wow.
Here come the Millers, or what is it?
He looks like he got hit by traffic.
Yeah.
He's a diminutive
and
man.
Says he's looking like you, man. What
I
do you
know. What's going on here?
Hey, was he just randomly there, or is he an MMA fan? Like, does he?
Yeah, he
keep
was
up?
an MMA fan, of course,
wow.
and so it was nice to see him. And then we met again when we were in Los Angeles for a SAG meeting, and really just kind of, then went 3 or 4 times after that. Went to New York and hooked up with him and his manager, Ed Martin. And Ed Martin is the first guy that I had met before. And so, yeah, we became friends.
Did you ever see him in Carlito's Way?
I did. Yeah. He does a great job. I saw him in Ghost
I can't believe he just couldn't let Carlito get away, man. I mean, that was...
But he said he's done like 100 films.
I believe it. And he's been in good ones.
He's been in good ones.
You know what's weird is I think he did that when they did the prequel to Carlito's Way, like a real low-budget one. I think he was in it but didn't play Pachanga, which I thought was weird. He just played another character.
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense.
Well, they say, man, I mean, I've been hearing a lot from some of the guys at Extreme Couture, take the roles, take the roles, take the roles. This whole thing about being picky, if you start being picky.
In movies?
Yeah. Like, I don't want to get typecasted, or I did that before, or whatever. Guess what? They stopped calling. And he says, you just got to do it. And if you're just always a villain, then you're always a villain. If you're always a superhero. Jay Haran, he goes, you got to work. He says he goes to a lot of auditions, and everyone's kind of talking and prepping and getting in a mindset, and sometimes there's small talk. And he says sometimes he sees a lot of people just like, man, I'm not so sure. I don't know if I really want it anyway, whatever. I'm like, really want it anyway. I don't recognize you. You better take this if they give it to you.
I'm sure Stitch will tell you it's a different world. I mean, even my brief experience when I was doing acting and getting jobs, my acting teacher said it's such a shame. A lot of you Asians are great actors, but there's no roles for you in Hollywood. And for me, it's different too. Is if Hell did freeze over and there was an Asian sitcom and they decided to back that, they would cast more Jackie Chan looking like characters, not some mixed guy with tattoos.
Right.
But if you have tattoos or something, you got to play to that. That's why a lot of guys, for fighters, they'll get thug roles and like what you guys are talking about. And it's true, they can't turn it down because we live in this world today where everybody's equal, everybody gets a participation award, and we like to live in this ideal world. But Hollywood's a different animal, man. It's cutthroat.
Oh yeah, and then there's so much competition in there. And talk about typecast. Yeah, I'm typecast as a cut man, brother, but I ain't bitching, man, because I pay myself.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
that's even better. Though.
Yeah.
If I walk in, if I'm going in a casting and it's for the thug role and Jay Haran is sitting there, I just walk the fuck out because he's got that on lockdown.
He has
like,
that.
I don't know if you watch a lot of the Marvel stuff, but he's basically the thug in every whatever Daredevil.
Oh, I saw him got iced in something like a couple months ago. He got iced in something. I'm like, no, not Haran.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the look, but even if they don't use it, like even if he doesn't have a speaking role, just when he's there, they're already impressed with his voice and his swagger and the accent. And
yeah, and when you're in the mix, that's the main thing, And like say Michael B. Jordan with his crew and the Ryan Coogler, Steve Cappell, and even the young kid that co-wrote Creed with Sylvester Stallone, another young 30-year-old kid, And but you're within that mix of people. And I remember the first movie I did was Played to the Bone with Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas. But Ron Shelton, the director, had the same characters in White Men Can't Jump and Tin Cup and Bo Durham and obviously again in White Men Can't Jump. So they keep that nucleus of guys because they know they could perform.
Well, remember Carlito's Way. I believe Brian De Palma is the director. he also directed Scarface.
Yes.
So one of those early scenes, one of the guys that comes up to Carlito to bring him to the with his former partner, who also both of those guys are in Scarface. Yeah. So yeah, De Palma also you stay loyal to certain guys and say, look, we're just gonna put a mustache on you or a hat, change your accent. You're not Colombian this time, you're Mexican, whatever. But they stay loyal, and so when you're in with someone,
Danny Trejo, Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trusted him right out of prison, gave him work when he came out of prison, and now he's a working actor for how long now?
And you know, it's funny with Danny Trejo, 4 or 5 years ago, before Machete, his agent got a hold of me, called me, and we have a three-way with Danny Trejo, and he was talking about he had written a script for Danny to try to get him from being a B actor to an A actor, right? And the movie was him being a cut man and so, and wanted to know if I could assist and all that. And I said, yeah, I'd be more than glad to, you know. Well, that never happened, but then Machete came in, and then that took him to a different level of acting. Mm-hmm. So
now he's doing Sling commercials.
He's doing everything.
He's got a taco thing, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm your agent. George, what kind of roles you looking for me to book for you? What do you know?
So check this out. Everything on Netflix seems to be about capos and drug lords or whatever. So I'd say, make me one of those guys because I can speak Spanish.
Drug lord?
Either that or make me a DEA agent who goes undercover because I can speak Spanish and English, but utilize me as a bad guy because I have the Bell's palsy. So there'll be scenes where I can be mean or mean looking. You know what I mean? Especially if I get scruffy beard or whatever. I think you could do something, put a couple scars on me, but I noticed that with the Bell's palsy, I just speak differently. I look differently when I'm speaking.
Him playing that role?
Of course I can, and you know,
viene la barba.
and I'm with you.
La barba,
you know,
hey.
You know, la barba. That's his name. And that's the beard for those of you guys that don't understand. But that's the thing about it is, you know, I'm typecast. I mean, everything I've done in like 6, 7 movies that I've played myself. But I'm like you. I could be a drug lord. I could be a cop. I could maybe even be a terrorist. And I can see you as a terrorist.
I think I could pull that off too.
Yeah.
I could see him as the first guy they interrogate because, like you said, the Bell's palsy. If he grows out the Syriana beard, like George Clooney, the sweating that George always complains about, he'll be that first guy in the interrogation room scene. You know?
Yeah, waterboarding him.
Yeah,
right?
you got to get through him to get to the guy to advance the story plot. You know.
But normally,
scar, though.
Normally, guys that are you know, like either Russian drug lords or Colombian drug lords, they have a look to them. You can just tell, obviously, they've gotten glassed or stabbed or whatever, so they're a little fucked up. Remember just True Romance, how they made, what's that actor's name? Fine actor, Gary
Oldman.
Yeah. How they made him look. They scarred him up a little bit. And granted, I get that was 20, 30 years ago, but still.
He can play anything.
He can, yeah.
And it's funny, let me add to this also, is Paul Querido that works with me as a cut man for Bellator. He lives in New Jersey, and obviously we're filming in Philadelphia. But I said, you know, Paul, you live so close. You know, I'm going to see if maybe we get you a scene one day or something like that. So,
who?
Paul Querido. He's one of the young cut men for Bellator.
Okay.
And super, super good guy. Does a great job. So when I met Steve Capel and Kevin at the Barclays Center, I told him, I said, look, man, I got this guy that would be a good cut man just to do a great job, and he looks Russian. So they said, well, send me a picture. Anyway, they brought him in.
Oh, nice.
And so he's the cut man for the Drago team, and he's doing a tremendous job, and he's like in seventh heaven. You know, so I opened up that door for him, and he performed.
That's what's up.
And he's still performing. You know, so
so we'll see him in the movie too.
You'll see him in the movie, guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah, of course. So.
Very cool. All right. So also on today's show, we're going to talk to Aljamain Sterling, who, if you paid attention to yesterday's show, there's been some call-outs with him and yesterday's guest, Cody Stamen. But we also want to talk to him about that great win he had over the previously undefeated Brett Johns at UFC Fight Night 128, which took place April 21st. He's been on vacation back to Costa Rica. Now he's back home, and we'd love to catch up with him and see if he's interested in Cody Stamen or perhaps his call-out, which was Dominic Cruz. Has he heard anything on that front? Also, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Buccino from Fort Bragg, will be talking to him. We've met a lot of friends on our trips, like Stitch mentioned earlier, Eustace Langley, the Afghanistan trips, and so there's been a little bit of a connection, and something's going down. All-America Week in May in Fort Bragg, and they're going to have an MMA event culminating their celebration. So we're going to talk to that gentleman as well, and then we'll finish up with Ben Fowlkes, who will kind of fill in some of those details on yesterday's big news, ESPN and UFC they are going to be in business together for a few years. Now, again, this is on the digital side. We still don't know who their long-term broadcasting partner or partners will be, but we do know that ESPN Plus will have 15 events, 12 bout cards, a presence on the Dana White Contender Series. I mean, there's a lot going on ESPN Plus, and we've also, I believe, been able to track down some pricing for those of you that are concerned. Wait a minute, I got to pay for the UFC Fight Pass and ESPN Plus. Yes, you do. However, it looks like those that join up with ESPN will get a little bit of a price break, and you're almost back to where you started with a ton of content. And plus, what are you going to do? Not pay it? I mean, if you're listening to this show, something tells me you'll get around to paying it, because 15 fight cards, 12 fights per card, I mean, it's hard to get away from that.
You can't call yourself a junkie if you can't watch them all, right?
Correct. The phone number to call in is 866-522-2846 if you want to participate in the show. Look at that Street Fight Goes. What's going on there? Is that a game or what is that?
Oh, my God.
Like, is that a prison? Is that a Walmart? Where's the – can you tell? Is that a school?
How fucked up is Walmart that you would think it could be either or?
Oh,
either a prison or a Walmart.
Go fight. Wow. Just type in fight on YouTube.
Dude, someone was getting
and
lit
by
up.
the third or fourth one of them will be Walmart, or it'll be a soccer stadium, or it'll be a Denny's. There's some good Denny's fights. Denny's Laguna Hills.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Are we
These
allowed?
guys are going at it. Oh.
That person that we talked to yesterday, are we allowed to say? Well, whatever. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and when you walked in, we were just talking about a fight that was on like that social media, the ones that do the rounds. But it was a fight at a cornhole game. You know that?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, I saw the news this morning.
How do things get that heated?
It was for charity, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I think the lady was like, "This is for charity. What are you guys doing?"
What's a cornhole game?
You throw a little beanbag into like a little box.
Oh, okay. All right. That's all right.
Very aggressive sport.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
I know,
okay,
right?
Right, yeah.
So I can see the tension.
That's why we were talking about ping pong when you came in, because
Right.
I said like I could see a fight maybe over something silly, like when you're in front of someone and you're slamming down a ping pong and it hits you. Okay, maybe I could see that, but in cornhole, like you're not. There's nobody's even around really. Like how does that happen? What's wrong with
drinking? I believe probably. I mean, that's the
At
thing.
the charity event,
it was
though?
for charity, but a lot of events are for charity, and there's drinking, like auctions of black tie dinners. So it can happen.
I've always wanted to ruin an auction for somebody.
Really?
Temporarily.
By
just outbid
being
them?
a shill?
Yeah.
Well, I told you I did that once, right?
No.
I was for well, it turned out okay actually, but as a 17-year-old Stitch, I was able to get a fake ID, but a legitimate one. I need to show it to you.
A legitimate fake
ID. Goze.
All
Serious.
Right.
Rocky Garcia?
No, that one I was
Garcia.
I was Anthony Carrera in that one. It was from this. It was a legal one, man. And
that's kind of like an
McLovin.
If I show it to you guys, you'll go, "Oh wow!" I mean, anybody would buy that one. The other one, Rocky Garcia, yeah, that was laminated, and that one it worked. It worked at the one place I needed to go to as a junior and a senior.
He was better
to buy
off using
beer.
a Fernando Valenzuela baseball card and going,
that's me.
Than Rocky Garcia one.
Now you want to hear something funny off that before I get into mine? Sammy the Squid had a cousin named Orlando, and we called him Orly, right? But his cousin Orlando, Squid, went out there and he got a laminated fake one too. I was Rocky Garcia, and he wanted to be Orlando, and I forget what Garza. I think he was getting another cousin's last name and another cousin's first name. Except they fucked up when they typed it up and they wrote Orlando. So if you ever see him, you can call him Squid. You can call him Kiki. That's another nickname that he had. You can call him Boozer. We used to call him Boozer, but you can call him Orlando.
Orlando?
Yeah. And I was like, take it back, man. They fucked up. It was only like $8 for a new one. He was like, nah, I'll just be Orlando.
That sounds less offensive than Boozers, though. I'd go with Orlando.
Boozer was cool. When Squid would come up, because we had a big drinking area, lunch area. And when Squid would come out, he was really shy in high school.
Okay.
He's really shy now, but he was really shy in high school. But when he would sit with some friends, some homies that he went to school with, and then he would migrate over to us, to another group of friends that he hung out with. And as he'd walk up, we'd see him, and everybody'd start going, Boozer, Boozer, Boozer. And he'd turn red, and he just... I know he thought it was cool, but at the same time, he wished we didn't do it. But he would do that march, but that's what he was known as, was Boozer.
Well, because his personality would come out when he drank.
And everything. Yeah, he was. Everybody was drinking beer. He was mixing hard drinks, so that was his thing. But going back to what I was saying, I was a shill at a strip bar,
Oh.
All right. I opened up it wasn't even called the Orange County Register. It was just the Register. It was back in 86, 87, just out of high school. And it was called the Wounded Knee in Anaheim. That was the name of the bar. And it said Hot Cream Wrestling.
Danny Cube girls just want to have fun. While he's
So
telling
my
the story.
buddy, all my buddies had fake IDs because we went to Hawaii. And the reason we got them was Hawaii, the drinking age was 18. And we were 17. So we were like, well, okay, at that point when we come back, we might as well really, really be able to party here in California. So nobody put 18. We were putting 21, 23 so that it would work when we came back from Cali. So we go out there to this Wounded Knee. We sit down, and there was like what you would buy for a kiddie pool. Picture like that, right?
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't whipped cream, it was shaving cream.
Oh my god.
And so what they would do is the girls would come out, and they would like Danny's playing, they'd come out to a song, right? And the girl would go and sit on your lap and grind for like 2-3 seconds. Kind of like blow behind your ear or something.
In the kiddie pool?
No. She'd come around.
Oh, okay.
Then she'd go to you, and then you'd give her like a buck or two or something. Then she'd come to you, same thing, and then to Dan, then to me or whatever. She'd do like 2 songs, and then, so she'd make some money there. And then they'd have an MC, and the MC would go, all right, if you want to dance with Heavy Metal Honey or whatever her name was, or the Georgia Peach or Cinnamon or whatever, if you want to dance with her, if you want to wrestle with her in Hot Cream, I'll start the bidding at $30, and then people start raising their hands. Well, early in the night, dude, girls were going for like 400.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there was this old man, he bought 2 of them one time. So we were like, well, let's just have some fun. Because
Ralph was there too?
Huh? No. Once we were there.
What's that, Grandpa?
Once we were there and you started bidding, now the girl's kind of coming and sitting on your lap a little longer because she's picking her favorites. And she doesn't want to wrestle with some old fart or whatever, that's stinky or whatever. And so she's kind of whispering in your ear, I really want to wrestle with you or whatever. So you're shilling for a little while. And as a 17-year-old, you get off on that. It's not like it was a real lap dance. But she's sitting on your lap. You're grabbing her butt and this and that. And so you're like, yeah, 60, And then this guy would go 70. I'd go 71, 80, 81, 100. Oh, man. And then every once in a while, you're like, I don't want to push it because I don't have the money on me. So I bail out. You got me. We did that like all night, man.
Oh, that's great.
Until the one of the
great.
last ones, a hot girl came out. I think I was just at 53. 53, I said. I thought this thing's going to go into the hundreds. And he goes, going once. Going twice.
Oh, dude.
And I start looking around. He goes, sold. And he points to me. He had a big megaphone. He points to me, sold to that guy, And my buddies are like, yeah, it's you. And I'm like, I don't have the money. I'm a shill. And so we had
How much did you have?
I think I had about 17.
That's
it? God, yeah.
Yeah.
A cheap date.
I think Squid had like 10. His buddy had 4, and Weedy was the other guy.
How bad is the Wounded Knee that somebody walked in?
Oh,
with
dude,
$4?
we were high school guys. We had just finished high school. We weren't men. We weren't anything. We didn't have jobs. And the other guy had, whatever it was, we added up to about 40. We were still shy 13.
Wow.
Right? And so all we kept thinking was, they're going to fucking kick our ass. Like, we're wasting everyone's time
because of Porky's, right?
Something like that, yeah. And so we thought, okay, what do we do? Now, the one thing I remembered was another girl would come out, and 2 couples would wrestle at the same time. And that usually takes about 20 minutes because the girl picks up all her ones. The other girl's got to come out for 2 songs. Then they start the bidding. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I told my buddy, I go, take me to like a 7-Eleven. I had a credit card, except it was a Visa. It wasn't like an ATM. And, dude, when you go home today, you're going to pass like 10 7-Elevens. They're there when you don't need them. But when you need them, you can't find them. We were driving everywhere, dude. Brookhurst, Lincoln, big major streets. No 7-Eleven, nothing. And then we found one, and it had this dumb little ATM in the back. And I put it in, dude. I put my code, and $20 was spit out. And then, boom, we headed back to the Wounded Knee. And just as I walk in, they go, where's that motherfucker at? Like, he's actually saying that. Where's that motherfucker at? Hey, we're waiting on you, Oh, all right. So I come in. I go in the back, and I have to change into some trunks. I change into some trunks. And the other couple's already sitting waiting. And Squid, you get to pick a manager. So Squid was my manager. The manager shoots the cream on her.
Oh, my God.
And then, like, massages it in.
Oh, he had the best job.
He did, man. He really did. You want to know how this finishes?
Sure, of course.
All right, because I'll tell you about my first barroom brawl. when we come back. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio
that's great.
on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We have Stitch Duran in the house.
they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goze.
Listen to Fantasy Sports Radio for expert advice to win your fantasy baseball league and start preparing for fantasy football season. Their experts tell you how to make winning trades and which NFL rookies will be the future stars of fantasy football on Sirius 210, XM87, streaming on your phone and at home on connected devices and speakers. All right, so guys, I'll finish up the story. So I get there, they give me a pair of trunks, and I have to change, and that you just come out like you're going to the pool, basically. The other couple's already there, and I jump in, and Squid's just like rubbing this girl's hamstrings and ass, and I'm like, God, I'm sitting there driving all over fucking Anaheim, and this guy's gonna blow a load just from that, because he's like this, dude. It's like he was
want to pull a hamstring.
Like putting a pizza together or something, man. And I just remember going, whoa, Remember, we're high school guys. We're not even men yet, and so we have hormones.
Oh man.
So I jump in there, and the girl grabs whipped cream and lays me down and shoots it on me, and she just boom jumps on me and starts smothering me. And the guy goes, all right, round one, ding ding ding, and we're wrestling, right? And so I'm like, I don't want to wrestle. I just want to like play, touch or whatever. I don't know. Play with my food. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and the other guy, he had too many, and I think he was like a wrestler, because he was like trying to pin her and do this shit.
Jesus.
And the girl even goes, hey, take it easy, and like me and my girl, we're just rolling around like two pigs in shit. Anyway, the bouncer, I could hear him say, hey man, you need to calm down, and we're not really trying to pin each other here. We're just playing, And the guy goes, oh, okay, I'm just playing, and he's doing this, he's doing that. Well, as that's happening, he gets her by the waist and swings her. Now, by then, I'm covered in shaving cream. My face, you wouldn't recognize me. I am just covered in shaving cream. So you can't see whether I'm smiling, crying, frowning, nothing, right? But this guy gets the girl and swings her around, and her foot catches me in the balls. Oh, right? And I think my girl was just kind of like right here, and then boom, I get kicked. So no one can see me go, oh, I'm in agony, right? I fold over to the ground, and my girl's still like beating me up and all that, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to recover, and as I open my mouth, shaving cream goes in my mouth. And so now I'm like, it's horrible. I don't know if you've ever done that. I mean, who would? When you shave, you just shave. You don't try it, right? Mm-hmm. But, dude, it was horrific. Nutsack! It was horrific. So I'm in agony. That stuff's in my mouth, and she's pushing my face down onto the mat, and the other couple's doing whatever. Hey, guy, calm down, and the bouncers are scolding him. We get to the end of the first round, and I'm just trying to recover. You guys got any water? I'm trying to pour the water on me. I look like an MMA fighter in between rounds. I was fucked up. So I try and put water on me and try and drink and spit without anyone noticing, and Squid's just like, he's doing his manager role to the girl, So then we go out there. We're in the pit. We go in the second round, and this guy just gets out of hand, man. He's throwing this girl around, and she pushes him back, and next thing you know, the bouncer warns them, and then boom, a fight starts. And
in the pit.
In the pit, yeah. They fall in, and then his boys come, and then more bouncers come, and so some guys are falling in the pit. Some guys are just throwing chingazos outside the pit. Both girls come to me, and so I'm kind of holding them. So one would think, oh, he's having a blast. It's fucking his birthday. But I'm still like with the shaving cream, suffering. And I'm just like this because chairs are flying, bottles are being broken. It just turned into a big brawl, And so we sat there and, like, we watched. I mean, there's no YouTube or yelling out World Star. I mean, it's just kind of covering up. And this whole thing happened, and then that was it. So the only thing was at the end I got to shower with both girls. So that was cool. But it was quick, man. It was like rinse,
How did that
rinse.
come about? You're like, hey, was there anyone to clean up?
Well, like, it was just – I don't know. I mean, I was like, hey, what happened to my – I think I had a last round left, and they just go –
last round left?
Girls, why don't you
still wants a round?
Shower off with them or something like that. And we all just showered real quick, and that was it. But all that at 17 years old. I hadn't even turned 18 yet.
Wait, who gave the command to shower off with him? Was it like a Robert Davi character from Showgirls?
The guy that had the megaphone.
Oh, okay.
I just go, hey, man. I go, the night was over. I mean, we were almost to the end of the night anyway, but they had to clean up. And I go, hey man, I go like, can I wrestle next week or like how do I make this up?
I want my $53
I got kicked
worth,
in the
right?
nuts and all that. And he just goes, I think the girls were already in the shower, and he goes, just go shower with the girls. Girls, he's coming. And so I went, just a quick little like, kind of like the one in Lima. You just kind of open it up. And they're already rinsing off. They were topless, I'll say that, but they just kind of showered me off. Couple little squeezes here and there, and then they were
surprised
leaving.
Squid wasn't already there
Check
waiting.
you out.
Yeah.
Was your manager?
Squeezing here and there. Huh?
So
Yeah.
when my buddies go, hey, you want to get a beer? Like by the time I was 21, hey, you want to get a beer? I was like, nah, man, I'd partied for 4 years. You know, like we went to the Wounded Knee a couple more times and did some other stuff or whatever. We had those drinking things, man. We had the fake IDs for so many years.
I have a clip of Squid as a cornerman if you want to hear him.
I do.
You know, if you get sweaty and want to take your shirt off, that'd be just fine.
Jesus.
It does sound like Squid.
Yeah.
So there you have it. All right. Stitch, what about on the boxing front? Who you got coming up, or do you have someone coming up? I know you lost a couple fighters to retirement.
Yeah, I lost Klitschko and Vladimir and Andre Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I just did. Jesse Vargas fought Andre Broner 3 weeks ago at the Barclays Center. But shoot, I don't think I have anything scheduled for boxing yet.
Okay.
But
do you have to kind of hit the pavements and start kind of recruiting new guys or putting yourself out there, or will it organically just happen?
Yeah, they just happen. You know, and with the schedule I have right now, and I just take them as they come, and then try to book them and get as many as I can. I know there's a fight this weekend, Mayweather Promotions at the Samstown. So, if I get a call, I'll do that. But if not, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, man. So, been staying busy. That's a good thing. Just got a call today to do a seminar, either September the 21st or November the 17th for some promotion up in the East Coast somewhere. And then I just got booked to do bare knuckle fights in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it's the first time it's been legalized since 1896.
We had the promoter on, Feldman.
Feldman.
I think it was David Feldman.
Yeah.
It is in June, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
June the 2nd.
And that's like high elevation, 6,000 feet.
They have like a modified hand wrap that night, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't go over the knuckles.
From what I understand, it's 1 inch behind the knuckles, and that's more to protect the metacarpals, the thumb, and the wrist. But everything else is going to be bare knuckles. So it's interesting, and the only reason I took it is because it is sanctioned by the commission and
it is.
And the
That's
ABC.
the only state. They went to a few states. It's kind of like old school UFC.
Yeah.
They are they're not running from legislation or from sanctioning. They're running towards it, but many states turned it down, and this one accepted it. And I think the UFC went to Wyoming a couple times early on.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's where Fry beat Tank Abbott. I think that's where Don Fry beat Tank Abbott.
I thought that was where Taktarov beat Tank.
Could be.
I don't know.
But
Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yeah, I've never been there.
It was Casper, Wyoming. You were on to Cheyenne. But this
yes.
one was in Casper, Wyoming. Yeah. So it was one of the early UFCs, but that's the way it goes down, But we'll see. We'll see how. There's so many things sprouting up. And how about? Have you seen the crossover? Golden Boy is going in MMA. Mayweather's going in MMA. The old Zuffa group is going into boxing.
Yeah.
So it's like combat sports is heating up in so many ways.
It's crazy, and yeah, I do have another fight booked July 7th. Beibut Shumanov from Kazakhstan, and he was a world champion. I guess he got an eye injury, so he retired, but fixed it up. But he's fighting back in Kazakhstan July 7th, and it's the 20th anniversary of the state capital, the country capital. But it's also the birthday of the president. So they're going to have a whole week of celebrations.
In Kazakhstan?
In Kazakhstan. They're going to have a whole week of celebrations, and the finale will be obviously the fight with Beibut Shumanov against, I don't know who the opponent is, but the message I got is the president's going to be there, and expect other presidents from other countries within the Soviet Union that will be there. So I got to go to that one, and that's my wife Charlotte's birthday. But when I showed her the figures, she says, I'll see you when we come back.
Okay.
So that's an experience, right? Just to go up there and to do a show for the president is pretty awesome.
How many presidents have you met in your life? Of
none.
Whatever different
None.
countries. Never met
Not
from
even
another
Putin?
country?
No, never met a president.
So this will be your first one.
Be my first
Has
one.
Putin at least been in the arena?
No,
A
it
couple
was
times you ran into Fedor. And
yeah. When Vladimir fought Povetkin, Alexander Povetkin, the whole thing was that Putin was going to be there, and I was looking forward to it. And that's when I ran into Fedor and no Putin, and I know he's very close. But I don't know if you guys saw my picture on Facebook, but Fedor at the last fights in Chicago, I get in and Friday, and he's in the lobby with all his entourage, and he's sitting down, and he sees me. He gets up and comes up to me and gives me a hug and tells me, I have an outfit for you. And I said, well, no kidding, Fedor. I said, Fedor, did it come from your heart? He goes, yeah, it did. So anyway, he gave me an outfit, and it's the Fedor Emelianenko official outfit, and they put my name on it, the front and the back.
Wow.
Yeah, Stitch.
Awesome.
So that itself is an honor. Just the respect factor that before he left Russia, he thought, you know what, let me make one for Stitch. And I remember Brock Lesnar did the same thing, and even Tito Ortiz when he fought. He had an outfit for me with my name on it.
Your Hugo Boss one.
The Hugo Boss.
That one's pretty dope.
I've given a lot of outfits away, not the Hugo Boss one.
Yeah.
And that was Vladimir Klitschko.
Are you hoping to rap the president?
That'd be nice. No, I don't know.
Of Kazakhstan?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't even thought about that. Would that be awesome? But, I've done, obviously, generals. I've done Native American chiefs. I done Dr. J. I've done some actors and
royalty.
But I've never done royalty like that.
What about King Mo?
King Mo. yeah, King Mo. I've got him. Yeah.
You met a president? I've met two.
I've never met.
I met three actually in my life.
Jesus.
Yeah, one of Peru, and then I met Bush and Clinton. And remember, Clinton's people almost killed me. Secret Service. I had a disposable camera, and he was walking around shaking everybody's hand. And when he came, I was gonna take it out, take a pic, and I guess just the motion of sticking my hand in my jacket. They all pulled their guns. I was like, oh.
Did they really?
Yeah, I was only like 15 or something like that. It scared the shit out of me.
Well, they were good then.
Yeah.
Well, when did you meet the other ones?
Clinton was at the Boys and Girls Club in Santa Ana. Bush was downtown on like 3rd Street. And then Peru was when I was flying with Mom, and the president used to be her neighbor. And so they started talking, and then he goes, hey, why don't you ditch your flight and come on my personal plane or whatever. So we flew to Arequipa in that plane.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Belaunde?
Belaunde, yeah. I know he's been to dinner at their house. I didn't know that that happened. When
It was not a nice private plane, by the way.
No.
It's a propeller and everything. I was not feeling that.
I had to fly in a propeller one. I think it was Spirit Airlines, and I remember we were joking around. You know who I flew with was
Spirit. That was recent?
It was 2004 because it was the Lakers when they played Detroit.
Oh, wow.
And I was traveling. It was actually a few weeks after we went to San Antonio. So I went to Detroit, and same thing, propellers. And I was with Steve Hartman from ABC, and we were like, what is this, a crop duster? I remember him saying, what is this, a crop duster? Like, what the fuck? But we got there safely, no bumps. And
First class?
I grew up around those planes. My grandma had a Scenic Airlines, rest in peace. It was throughout the 80s, probably shut down like 91. She retired, but it was a bunch of propeller planes, and it would do inter-island flights throughout Hawaii and stuff. And so I grew up on spending a lot of time. That was my daycare, and I'd go up in a lot of those planes and stuff. And I don't know, maybe I've been freaked out of flying before. Sometimes I've had anxiety, like other people. I think, but it's more travel or stress anxiety. It's never been like, oh, I got that propeller. Or like I don't know. I'm pretty confident in like plane mechanics. It's more travel stress.
Yeah,
that makes sense now.
They're pretty safe though. They, and I've been on prop planes. You could hear and you're looking out the window and you just see the, the propeller start off slow and then they pick up and then you're taking off.
Yeah, I used to wonder because everybody would go, "What's with Dan Tommy's always crop dusting?" But now, okay, so part of your family.
Now you know.
Oh, dude.
Hey, what's going on with Hawaii and the volcanoes?
It's
like
long overdue.
Evacuations and like destruction. Wow, this was one of the really, really bad ones.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up. I don't have
the big island, right?
Yeah, I don't have that much family on that island at all, so I haven't really been able to keep up more than what anybody else has read as far as firsthand accounts.
And that's where B.J. Penn's from, right?
Yep.
He's from Hilo, and Hilo is a little bit. It looks like north of where this is taking place, but not that much further north. I don't think it'll impact his city. It doesn't look like. I mean, lava flows and it moves, but I don't think at that kind of rate.
Yeah, I saw the lava just kind of rushing into this Mustang and just engulfed it. And
it just goes.
His insurance don't cover that, right?
Yeah.
No, you're right, because there was some guy was talking about. He goes, I'm a blue collar man. I'm proud. I paid for my house. I thought I was gonna live in retirement, and What he didn't specify, he said a lot of people are going to get hurt from this because they don't have volcano insurance or lava or whatever it's called, disaster. I don't know. He specified that. What he didn't specify is if he was talking in the third person and including himself, or if he was wise enough to have gotten that. Because where we live in Southern California, a lot of people don't get flood insurance, and every once in a while in California, if the rains come hard, a lot of the rivers can't sustain, and so they recommend. It's like when you buy a camera and they go, hey, you just got an amazing purchase. How'd you like to get that little protection, And most people just go, fuck you, I just bought a new camera,
Right, right.
Well, same thing over here. I think State Farm just goes, do you want flood insurance? And then, usually decline it because when do we really get floods? But sometimes if you live near those banks, and it has happened once every 30 years, and you get something, you're not going to get covered. The same thing's happening with
houses on the hills too. Hawaii is the same thing as California, where you got to be careful how it drains because the houses will start rolling and crap. So
yeah. So our best to everybody out there that may be afflicted with this, including the Penn family. We got to take one more break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close, and we will be right back.
Right, left, right. BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goze.
Barstool Radio is bringing their own unique flavor to the sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week. From the NBA playoffs to the NHL playoffs to the latest Westworld theories and much more. Enjoy refreshing content that's done by the common man for the common man. Barstool Radio on Power 85 and anytime on demand with the Sirius XM app. All right. We have a few guests coming up in the second hour, and you guys are missing out if you want to call in because our pockets are shrinking. It's a 2-hour show. We're not here forever, and there's still a lot of stuff out there. A lot of people wanted to react to yesterday's news of ESPN and the UFC going into business together.
What?
Do you guys have any delayed reactions on that, towards that?
Delayed. I needed more facts to come out, really, because I was spending a lot of time just trying to figure out, all right, is this really, who is this going to benefit, who is it not? Until you have all the facts, it's really hard to pick that.
Well, they're coming in. What are you wondering?
They're starting to come in. I'm starting to wonder, all right, like the first thing I wanted to know was, does that mean Fox is completely gone? But it doesn't.
Right.
So now, how is that going to work out, that relationship between all? You got to make everybody happy. Excuse me. Is our new commentators going to be in the fold the same way you get the guy from Fox? What's his name?
Jay Glazer?
No, the other guy. He does football. Large fella.
Kurt Menefee.
Kurt Menefee. Are we going to have a version of that? Because if you ever hear like Stephen A. Smith or any of those guys talking about MMA on ESPN, they're not good takes.
Well, even Stephen A. Smith struggled with boxing.
Yeah. So how is that going to work out? I don't know. I just had so many questions. But, yeah, you're right. Little by little, stuff's starting to come in.
Yeah.
But this is crazy.
It is. And let's talk about that. Let's do our daily debate right now, I think, with the guests we have coming in. We're going to run out of time, and we definitely don't want to do that. So here we go. This is what we want to discuss today. It's our daily debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Will the UFC's new deal with ESPN ultimately be a good thing for MMA fans? Dan, what do you think?
Kind of like spoken similarly as before. There's not enough facts out to have a hard, definitive take on it yet. I will say it does seem like they're going to be offering a tiered system, but it makes you bring the question of what's it going to be like when you're splitting all these sources. The reason why oversaturation is an argument because it makes it hard to focus on fighters, on events. That reflects through sales, pay-per-view numbers. That reflects through how many stars are breaking through. We're on a lack of those right now. Those are the problems we need to fix, and I think you kind of further expand on that when you start putting your product in different locations. For a while, we would at least see the Ultimate Fighters with a Spike. So we would have, when there were Spike cards, those guys would be put on those cards and so forth. That extends to even now where when Mike Goldberg's calling Bellator, he can, have a guy who has a history in the Ultimate Fighter but now is fighting for Bellator in this part of the career. He's still referencing that. That has life. How much life are we going to have if we're throwing things all out in different areas? And then the other question, lastly, I'll say is how much shows is this going to add on, per year? We're already at, in my opinion, way too much. I don't think more is going to help the equation.
They've committed to 15 shows, the Dana White Contender Series. Those 15 shows, by the way, will have 12 fights, 12 bouts per card. And then they still got to do their TV broadcast deal. And then they still have pay-per-views. So you're right. Unless the pay-per-views are going to maybe get scaled down to 6 per year, which is a rumor we heard. That plus the 24 that are coming apparently with whatever partner they agree to do business with in the foreseeable future. Rumors are ESPN and NBC Sports. There's another rumor of Fox and NBC Sports. That plus the 15 plus the pay-per-views could take you as high as 50 and as low as low 40s. Low 40s I think a lot of people are comfortable with. 50s would be a lot. Goze, what do you think?
I think it'll be good for the UFC, but for fans, I don't see that there'll be too many more advantages. I think, if anything, it's going to make things kind of confusing for the fans. I'm a routine guy. Every night or every Wednesday night, this is when the Ultimate Fighter is, all that stuff. When there's too much going on, you start to lose interest and you start going to other avenues. So I think fans are going to be a little bit confused of where to find things, what's going on this channel, what's going on that channel. So I'm going to vote no.
What do you think, Stitch? UFC and ESPN, is that just a marriage that needed to happen at some point?
Well, I don't know if it does. I know through comments wherever I go, people are just, they're like Dan was saying, they're oversaturated and, there's no new names coming out and, the old guys are getting older and, that cycle. But you're right. I think if you spread it out too much, and like Goze is saying, you're going to confuse the viewer as to where do I tune into.
Right.
But give the UFC credit. The things that they've done have always turned into gold.
Right.
So they're not stupid in doing what they're doing. I think once we find out the true meaning of what they want to do, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. And just to finish up, I think ESPN has done well with NBA, with NFL. So I'm going to have, and I've seen soccer, so I have faith that this thing could work out. My answer is going to be yes. It went 50-50. 502 voted, and it was 50-50, so right on the dot. So I'm going to say I'm going to have faith that it will be a good thing. But when the broadcast deal comes in, if ESPN's also tagged to that, then I think they'll find a way to really, really make it work, and that'll just be a prime home for the UFC. But we'll see. A lot more has to come. That's your daily debate for today. Brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. We'll be be right back after this break.
I'm just a devil with love.
It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Some fighters should walk out to that, right?
That's a nice song. Yeah.
Like if you're gonna face maybe Fedor back in the day, I just want to stay alive.
But then you well, and then you got a strut, man, just to back it up, right?
Yeah.
So as you're walking down the ramp.
Yeah. I know a professional shaving cream wrestler that walked out to this one time.
Yeah, really. All right, our next guest is a recent winner in his last fight at UFC Fight Night 128. It took place out in Atlantic City, New Jersey, so a short drive from his native Long Island. He moved to 15-3 overall. He gave the first loss to Brett Johns. So now Aljamain Sterling continues to rise in that bantamweight division of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He joins us now, fresh off of a vacation. He's on the hotline. What's up, Aljo? How you doing?
Is this my hotline bling?
How you doing, brother? How was Costa Rica?
Oh, no, I was in DR, actually.
DR,
I was in DR
okay.
for a couple of days.
All right, so you were in the Dominican Republic. How was that?
It was fun. I mean, the only thing that sucked about it was being on crutches for the entire week, besides the last day that we had to leave. and even that was a little painful. So, but we made the most of it. You know, I got to work out my bare muscles, and you know.
I noticed that
Put
you
things-
also
pick
got
things up
a
and put them
workout there with they must have had an MMA gym that tracked you down. You went in there and saw them.
Oh yeah. I came in, went over. They picked me up, took some pictures with some of their guys over there that they had in. You know, I was a little reluctant to do it at first because I don't know. You know, you go into a foreign place and you don't know anybody, and you know, you just never know what's going to happen, kind of thing. And but yeah, I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, we have a crazy story to tell people. So just look at it like that.
You know, the Dominican Republic has some of the finest baseball players on the planet, some really good athletes there. Did you recognize any young talent? Could this be a country that in the future maybe has a few fighters?
Possibly. I don't know, at least from what the guys were telling me, it doesn't seem like most of them take it as serious as we do here in the States and a few other places, I guess. You know, I guess it's just the economy down there is just a lot different in terms of financial challenges and things like that. So
right.
Training is like more recreational.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Alex Garcia is the only one we know of, right, Goze? From GSP's team? He's the Dominican Nightmare, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that's the only one I can think
so.
of. But all right. Let's move on to your recent fight, Brett Johns. That's one of the best performances I've ever seen out of you. I've seen you fight many times, and what really impressed me was this was coming off a loss that was a difficult loss for you. You know, I know you took it very hard, and when a lot of other fighters would have maybe taken time off to reassess, some fighters switch camps. Some fighters make a lot of switches in their life. You stayed pretty consistent with what you did, and you were able to shake it off and then really, really put it on a tough fighter, an undefeated fighter. So very impressive. Talk a little bit about that comeback road from last December in Fresno to April in Atlantic City.
Oh, you know what, man? I couldn't really look at that loss to Marlon as I was outclassed or anything like that. In my personal opinion, you know, he didn't do anything. It was more so what I did, and that's just the way I feel about it. You know, I got excited. I shot in from West Bubblefuck, you know, and I reached out, my arms extended. He went to throw a switch kick. He looked down and looked up through a switch kick, and I just shot in, and it just happened to be one of those things where he was throwing a kick to the body, and I shot right into the knee. I ran face first into the knee, and caught me right on the chin and put me out. At the end of the day, if I got, like, technically, like, beat down, I think that would have been worse, because then I'd have been like, God damn, I got a lot of things I need to work on, because these things clearly aren't working if I got outclassed that badly. But just one of those things that got caught, you know, it can happen to anybody. No, hopefully sometime down the line we can run that back and actually really get to mix it up and see who's really the better technical fighter. You know, I had a mental lapse. I made a mistake and capitalized on that, so it was his night. But it is what it is. You move forward. So I kept it for what it was and kept it in perspective. I knew I had a great chin. I can take shots, man. You know, I don't take a lot of punishment in my fights or in training. So I just had to believe in that, keep the positivity, and just get ready for the next one. And I know Brett Johns called me out, and it was, you know, I thought it was a little bit of a slap in the face because I you know, you get knocked out, and all of a sudden everyone's like, I want this guy. He's in the top 10, and, you know, I want to take this guy out next, and I could be that guy. I mean, it is what it is. You know, he's that young buck that won the challenge, and I mean, I was the same guy. They offered me Takei Mizugaki when Mannequin Buren got hurt, and I jumped all over to fight. The opportunity, he was ranked 6. I was unranked, so I felt obligated that I had to give somebody else the opportunity to try to shine. So he'll be back, and you know, it was fun, man. It was fun to prove everyone that was a fluke. The Funk Master is still here, and all my true Funk bandits are out there and still following me and supporting me. You know, those are the guys I fight for. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Aljamain Sterling, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, 7-3 in the UFC, 15-3 overall, coming off a big win over Brett Johns at UFC Fight Night 128. So that night, you call out Dominic Cruz. I thought that was appropriate because you're looking up. You want to move up in the division. I totally get that. What I want to ask is, have you heard anything back about that? Is that in any way a possibility? To me, it just seems like Cruz has been out with an injury, and he's just not taking anything. So has there been anything on that front?
Nothing from him. I mean, he's usually one to chirp back or, snap back, but there's been no cut back, Nothing like telling me to, like, stay in my place or anything like that, whatever. But it is what it is. Hopefully we see what happens. I was talking to Shelby a little bit, and he just said we got to see what happens for the most part. And I guess there's a couple of key matchups happening and see how everything shakes up in the division, kind of go from there. I know Kelleher's fighting Lineker this week. That's a huge fight for him. So that can really move some things around in the division, open some things up. You got Marlon Moraes fighting Jimmy Rivera. And I think Cruz might be waiting for the winner of that to fight the winner of Cody and TJ, the rematch. Other than that, I can't see him just sitting there waiting for a title shot. He's going to be gone. It would be another. It's like at this point, I think it's 2 years, right? 2 years since he last fought.
He's around a year and a half right now. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 years out. That's kind of crazy.
Who do you think wins between Kelleher and Lineker? Real quick, who do you like there?
Kelleher's coming on. I think he's found his stride. Coming back from all the things the adversity he's faced coming up. He was a guy that not many people thought could really do anything just because of the way he started his career. And, he rallied a couple wins, and he's in a great position now. Just beat down Renan Barao, especially in that third round, put it on him pretty good. So, yeah, I think he's coming on strong. I think I could see him pulling off the upset. I think Lineker is pretty one-dimensional. I actually wanted that fight, but we'll see what happens and kind of just go from there. But I think Kelleher should pull it out.
Aljamain, I know while you were on vacation, you saw the call out, I don't know who called who out, but Cody Stamen and you had what we call a Twitter spat or a Twitter beef or something like that. And we had Cody on the show yesterday. He feels like he, with him at 11 and you at 8, he doesn't feel like it's that out of line for your names to be lumped together. Now that you've had some time to process that and seeing that Cruz just may not be available and all these other matchups are out there and they're being made, for one, do you want to fight pretty close, right away now that coming off this big win over Johns? And if so, are you warming up to the idea of Stamen being that, it kind of took off a little bit on Twitter?
Sorry, I'm looking up who that is on Wikipedia real quick. That guy's, I don't know. That guy's a tool. As far as I can see, the kid's a tool. I have no interest in fighting another guy who's just 3-0 with 2 split decision wins, which I think the majority of fans actually think and thought the fight should have gone the other way. So that fight doesn't do much for me right now at this point. I was offered him or Brett Johns. I took the guy who was ranked. I took the harder fight, the guy who everyone thought was supposed to be the next guy to move up in the division. So I think he needs to do his part and go fight a couple more guys. And if the fight ever materializes, I'll be gladly ready to oblige. But right now, I think the kid's just a tool with I'm so glad he cut that stupid mullet thing off his head, the little bowl cut he used to rock. We talk about my haircut's fucked up. I'm like, bro, let's not talk about style because you suck. But whatever. I like I said, I think he lost his last 2 fights. He beat Terrion Weir, and that was the only definitive win he's had. So please let me know if we're in the same ballpark. They said the same thing about Brett Johns. He beat Joe Soto. He beat those other 2 guys, and like I said, there's levels to this shit. So he could take that 17-1 record and actually fight someone tough, and then come back.
All right, Goze, what do you have for Aljo?
Aljamain, we've kind of seen your career develop in front of our eyes, and I think now you're kind of at this point, and you might even say you've been there for a little bit, where you stopped being that new guy on the scene, and now you're that veteran in the locker room. Have you felt that at all?
Yeah.
Change in your career, and what's that like?
Oh yeah, 100%. I felt like that even for the Marlon fight. I felt like that was my first main event slot, and I shit the bed on it. But I felt like that. I did feel like a little aura. Like I feel like I've been around the block a few times now. And I put my work in. I worked my way up. I had a couple of good finishes in the beginning of my career. Then the competition started to get a little bit harder. But but here I am, 10 fights in, 7-3. You know, it's kind of weird because in the beginning, I do remember like first coming in and no one really paying you any mind or giving any type of attention when you're in the back room or anything. And now I do feel and I do see when I'm like warming up and things like that, people are looking in and watching and see kind of like what I'm doing and kind of what energy you bring to the room. I did that when I first got in, when I saw Sarah McMahon, I saw Daniel Cormier working out, I saw all these guys, these high profile guys. I'm like, oh shit, I'm working out in the same room as these guys, you know? So I feel like I'm in that same what would you call it? That same category.
Sometimes when we talk to fighters on the show, early on, when we ask them if they're not training for a particular opponent, they're training for the champion. And sometimes they've been really honest with us, and they said, look, right now in this point in my career, I don't feel like I have something for the champion. I always feel like I can beat whoever you put in front of me, but I know I need work before I get there. Can you maybe talk about, in your career, maybe a particular fight, when that fight was done, where you felt like, I am now ready to face the champion, and I got something for him?
At what point in my career I ever felt like that?
Yeah.
I mean, to be 100% honest, man, right after the Barao fight, I felt like I was coming on, you know. And maybe that Marlon loss was a blessing in disguise. You know, I think it kind of reassessed that was the most calm and most relaxed I've ever been during the back room warming up for a fight. I didn't feel like any nerves, and I felt like that was probably not a good thing in terms of all the other fights where your survival senses are actually heightened because you're nervous and you're anxious. And I didn't feel like that for that fight. And not saying that's why that fight went that way, but I think that plays a big part. And I think that helps me. I think that helped reassess me going back into this fight. You know, though I knew I was the better guy, and I really felt I was going to win that fight against Johns, I got nervous. You know, I had those butterflies, those nerves again. I was going into battle. I was like, you know what? I can't have that same shit happen ever again. You know, you got to always be ready. And I think that Marlon fight, you know, every fight teaches you a lesson, and then that fight taught me, like, you got to be ready to battle every single time you step in that octagon. You can't be out there just walking in there, waltzing in, just think it's just gonna, you know, just happy-go-lucky. So right now, I feel like I match up on paper well with any of these guys. I'm hard to hit. I think I have one of the best wrestling attacks out of everybody in terms of being unorthodox with my takedowns. I get guys against the cage. I can pin them there for as long as I want. I make it dirty. You know, I just feel like I'm the longer, rangier guy compared to a lot of these guys. You know, I don't know. It just feels it's my time, man. I just can't have another hiccup again. You know, this is going to be the second run I'm making towards the bell. Hopefully I don't shit the bed again, but, you know, it's time to shit or gut the pot. But not in terms of, like, hanging it up. Just I got to make a run, otherwise I'm going to be stuck in that gatekeeper category, which I'm not trying to have happen. You know, I want to make a run at the title, and the streak starts now. And I got my eyes on TJ, man. I've been a fan of his for a while. Watch him come up, watch him grow, watch him develop every single fight. He's gotten better. And I always told people that before he fought Brown, and he dominated. And I said the same thing. He's gotten better every single fight. I can't see why this fight would be any different. He shocked the world, and that's a guy I'm looking forward to fighting sometime down the line in the future. I want to fight all the best guys. People say they're the best. I want to fight all the best guys. You get some guys who want to cherry-pick their opponents. I want to fight the best guys, and that's just how it is. I'm not calling out a guy because I think I match up better and it's just an easier fight. No, I want to fight you because you're one of the top guys. You're above me. I want to fight you. And it's as simple as that.
If it doesn't go down with Cruz, who's the next one you'd like to fight and where? I think you have enough clout because of the 10 fights you have in the UFC, and you're coming off your best performance ever against John. So right now, I think people are listening. Who and where, Aljamain, if it doesn't work out with Cruz?
You know what? I guess I kind of have to wait to see what happens. I would love to get that Jimmy Rivera fight. I know they're not going to give me the Marlon rematch right away. Mm-hmm. I would like to fight Caraway, but he did just come off the split decision loss. Had he had won that fight, the split decision went his way, it would have made sense to get the rematch. Essentially, I was fighting Rob Font. You got Pedro Munoz out there, but he's coming off a loss to John Dodson. I think John Dodson might make sense at this point. Before, I didn't want to fight the guy. It didn't make sense. But now I think it makes sense. So, but he's in free agency period right now. So let's see if they re-sign him and kind of just go about it from there. But I'm looking at maybe July, August for a return.
I love it because July's in Vegas and August is in L.A. and L.A. has the TJ Cody fight. So it's key to be on the same timeline as the champion. Not to jinx the card, but stuff goes down. You saw how your roommate benefited from it, and if somebody's on the same card and ready, they can step in. And if not, then at least you know that you're being talked about on the same night as the champ. So, listen, we got to move on, man. But we appreciate the time. I hope you had a great time out in Dominican Republic. It's fun following you on Twitter, folks. Give them a follow on Twitter at @Funkmaster_UFC. And once again, man, huge win. In April a few weeks ago. Very happy for you. That was a great comeback win for you. So thanks Aljo, for everything.
When the chips are down, you gotta pick yourself up and press it, man. You gotta pick yourself up and press. And then that's what I did. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, take care, buddy. See you. All right, big shout out to Anthony for coordinating that. That's Aljamain Sterling, one of the top bantamweights in the world. All right, so let's keep going here with our next guest, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Buccino. We're going to talk about All-American Week, which is taking place in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's the location of Fort Bragg. All-American Week takes place in the fourth week of May 21st or May 24th. And what caught our attention, obviously, good friends of ours from JBLE, know good people over at Fort Bragg. And this whole All-American Week ends with cage fighting, MMA fights.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, so we wanted to find out more about this. And joining us now on the hotline is Lieutenant Colonel Joe Buccino. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Good afternoon. Very good. Very good. Thanks for having me. We're very excited to be on MMA Junkie and very excited about All-American Week.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I got my brother Goze here with me, our fight analyst Dan Tom, and then we also have noted cut man in the boxing and MMA world. You'll soon see him again on Creed 2, by the way, Stitch Duran. And
right.
It's a pleasure to have you on here, sir. Tell us, All-American Week this is going to be the 29th All-American Week, correct?
This is the 29th All-American Week. So this is our division, the 82nd Airborne Division, is 101 years old. And All-American Week is a week-long celebration of our culture and legacy. This is the 29th time we've done it, so this is a tradition that goes back to 1986. There were 3 years during our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan when the division was deployed and we could not do it. This is the first year since 9/11 that the entire division, minus about 30 people, 30 paratroopers, is back here on Fort Bragg for All-American Week. So it's going to be very cool. The entire 18,100 paratroopers here. And as you alluded to, one of our culminating events on Wednesday night, May 23rd, is going to be our Mixed Martial Arts Combatives Tournament, our finals.
Right, and guys, you remember when we went to JBLE, Dan and Stitch, you've obviously gone with us. Remember the combatives group that we would visit, and they talk about a few of the guys get selected, and I believe this is, all the different bases have their combative groups, but this is where a few of them wind up going to these types of fights. How cool is that?
That's
very cool.
Kind of like the best of the best,
Yeah.
man. And Colonel, let me ask you this: who's your cutman for those nights?
We have our Army combat medics, our 82nd Airborne Division medics, who are also the best of the best, who will be doing their duties, taking care of our paratroopers, treating our paratroopers as they always do. But we'd love to have you on here. We'd love to have you come down. We have potentially Tim Kennedy, who is, as a former Army paratrooper with the 2nd Ranger Regiment, and some other folks that may come on here for this. So we'd love to have you on and even let you officiate a fight.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And I did a tour with Tim Kennedy. Not only that, I've worked his fights when he was fighting in the UFC, and I was with the UFC. But what a great guy.
Yeah.
And, we've done many tours and visited many of the soldiers out there. And, we have a whole lot of respect for what you guys do. And it's always nice for us to give back because you guys give so much, man. But, that's something that's possible. I finished filming my Creed 2 movie in Philadelphia on the 21st, and the 23rd I just happen to be available.
Hey.
All right. Well, come on down. We know how much this show does for our soldiers and your connection there with with Major General Malcolm Frost and JBLM and the entire community there. We just are really appreciative, and it's a natural crossover audience. You know, it's a natural audience for us to reach out to for the 82nd Airborne Division, and we just hope that all your listeners will follow us on Twitter. We're at 82nd ABNDIV on Twitter, at 82nd Airborne Division on Twitter, and really throughout the week, throughout All American Week, we're going to be showing highlights from some of the fights, the run. We have a big airborne assault, and we're going to be live tweeting some of this stuff and showing some cool clips and cool highlights. And we just want the nation to see what their division's doing.
That is cool. Yeah, there is I noted that down. There's a parade. There's a division run with a lot of the paratroopers. You also have a memorial ceremony, and of course everything finishing out with the MMA event. So this All-American Week, every day there's something, and I hope you guys do live tweet because we would like to tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the airborne review, we call it an airborne review. Really, it's a training exercise that people can come and watch. It's a big parachute assault, about 1,000 paratroopers jumping out of C-17s. They will come down and then go into a pretty complicated, very fast-moving exercise, live-fire exercise that'll also have an air assault and some follow-on objectives. We're going to have every weapon system in our arsenal. We're going to have these very cool dune buggy, all-terrain vehicles that paratroopers are going to move onto the objective on. And that closes it out on Thursday, May 24th, from 9 to noon. That's the event that hundreds will come out here, maybe thousands will come out here to watch. And so we're going to have that entire event live. And Wednesday night, Wednesday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that's, what time is that for you guys?
1.
You guys are 2 hours. Okay, yeah, that's a 1 for you guys. We're going to have our combatives is going to be live, and it's going to be pretty cool. You know, this is going to be like when the UFC first went to Madison Square Garden, and, you know, Conor McGregor walked out. We're going to have this in outdoors in our stadium, our outdoor stadium, 18,000 screaming paratroopers, plus thousands of alumni, thousands of veterans, friends from Fayetteville. We're going to have our rock band blaring rock music, cool videos, and then we're going to introduce the fighters just like this were a UFC card event. Or introduce the fighters, they'll come out, and it's just going to be a really rocking event, just a great time.
We're joined by Lieutenant Colonel Joe Buccino, Public Affairs Officer for the 82nd Airborne Division. And we're talking about All-American Week, which takes place in Fayetteville, North Carolina at Fort Bragg, May 21st through May 24th. The week culminates with MMA bouts in what's called, guys, it's called the All-American Thunderdome.
I like
that's
that.
The name of the
Nice.
cage.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
The All-American Thunderdome, this is going to be, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, if you've ever seen a large group of paratroopers out having a good time, it gets rowdy. And if you think about, you know, Conor McGregor started throwing stuff at that bus a couple of weeks ago, it's going to be not quite that rowdy, but
All right, Goze, what do you have for Lieutenant Colonel Joe?
Lieutenant Colonel, now when this is all said and done, you're going to have a winner in the boxing, combatives, and in MMA. Which amongst the Army community would kind of be the top dog there? In other words, who's walking out of there with the street cred?
Yeah. Who's the baddest warrior, right?
Who's the baddest warrior? You know, combatives is relatively new for All-American Week. So the third year we did combatives was last year. The second year we did full mixed martial arts rules combatives in the cage. It's actually, in the Army we call it a tactical enclosure, was last year. So that's a new thing. But last year the winner, and we have 6 weight classes. Last year the winner in each weight class was talked about for months. And we had some really good fights. We had some really competitive fights last year. We had some knockouts. We had a couple of events within a weight class. We had a female and male fighting. And, you know, everybody's a paratrooper, male or female. So, you know, the combatives is what people really look forward to. And that's the thing that people are going to be talking about. The boxing is cool, too. We've got a lot of other sports, a lot of other things that are happening. But the the event that our paratroopers gravitate to is the combative, just like that, I think, generation and that age group and demographic gravitates to mixed martial arts and ultimate fighting.
Well, I was going to be my next question is that little bridge that you guys have there, because any base that we've been to, they've talked about other people that have gone to visit, whether it's somebody from the NBA, MLB, NFL, and they appreciate it and they love it, but there's this different energy that comes out when somebody from combat sports come out. And it's because they say they can kind of gravitate towards them because it's similar, right? The preparation and everything that goes through. Can you talk about that bridge and why it's become that way?
Yeah, first of all, for us, there is an element that is tied to combat readiness. And particularly, when you're talking about the paratrooper spirit, the paratrooper mentality, there's a certain, what we do is violent, what we do is dangerous, and close with and kill our nation's enemies, and we do that very efficiently. And so there's a certain mentality that ties to mixed martial arts and ties to, ultimate fighting and this kind of fighting really as a element of combat and as an art form. And so, it's an exciting thing when you see it, and then when people know who the different fighters are, and each fighter is representing not only themselves here, but they're also representing their unit, their different unit within the 82nd Airborne Division. You've got, there's a paratrooper here I met yesterday who's representing what we call the White Devils. And, all the White Devils want him to win. They want him to represent their unit because they're the baddest. They're the best unit. They're the most combat ready. They have the most, efficient folks. And then you've got White Falcons. So you've got all these different units that are being represented by their fighters. You get in that octagon and people are really going to start to get excited. So it's similar to the atmosphere when Ultimate Fighting, goes to a different state, a different town, and there are folks from that hometown that are fighting. People get behind it and rally behind it and take different sides. It's going to be that kind of atmosphere.
Our last question comes from Stitch Duran. Go ahead, Stitch.
Lieutenant Colonel, one of the things during our travel tours that we did to these military bases, the skill level of these athletes or these soldiers has really increased. I remember Tim Kennedy was rolling with some of these guys, Frank Trigg, Marcus Davis, all these guys, are rolling with these guys, and I didn't expect this type of talent coming out of the military, but you guys are definitely performing on that, and you're right. I think it's an inspirational thing, not only for the fighter that wins, but everybody involved. And I think what you guys are doing is great, and it's just more of a motivation. And everybody wants to be the best macho man out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also a common respect. We all share the commonality and the brother and sisterhood of the AA patch. That is all Americans, the 82nd Airborne Division. We all wear this maroon beret, and we all fight the same enemy. We all jump out of aircraft. And, there's a lot of respect there, but everybody wants to be the baddest. Everybody wants to win. This is the most competitive organization, the most competitive institution in the United States, we think. The Army is naturally competitive. The 82nd Airborne Division is the top of the Army and is even more competitive. So, that spirit of competition, you're going to see it all week during All-American Week, and the best way to see that is to check us out on Twitter.
That's right. And speaking of Twitter, you can follow the Lieutenant Colonel personally at Joe Buccino1, and then, of course, the other Twitter handle that we've been promoting, where you'll be able to see a lot of the live streaming not next week, but the week of May 21st to May 24th is at 82ND ABNDIV. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you very much for the time. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. We're excited about your event, and we will definitely be tuning in the week of May 21st to the 24th.
Great. Thanks for your time, and Stitch, we hope to have you here for the fights.
Yes, I'd love to attend, yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, stay in touch.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Folks, we got to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be back with Ben Fowlkes, one of the best writers in the sport of mixed martial arts.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goze. Here are Gorgeous George and Goze.
Listen to Fantasy Sports Radio for expert advice to win your fantasy baseball league and start preparing for fantasy football season. Their experts tell you how to make winning trades and which rookies will be the future stars of fantasy football on Sirius 210 XM87, streaming on your phone and at home on connected devices and speakers. Joining us now, one of the best writers in the sport of mixed martial arts. We're lucky to have him on the staff.
I love Simon.
Ben Fowlkes.
Oh, Ben Fowlkes here too?
What's up, Ben? How you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, no.
What do you say?
What's going on?
Oh, what's going on? Okay. Good, man. Good. Listen, you've put out a couple different stories, and as this info's been coming out with ESPN Plus and the UFC and the deal that they made, I figured you seem to have a good grasp of at least a lot of the questions that we may have. So I wanted to see if we could discuss that with you. But on top of that, much praise for the article on Riddle. I thought that was really cool. So as always, you're kicking ass and taking names for us, man.
Yeah, the Riddle one was really interesting. I got to see him wrestle. I haven't seen him since he became a pro wrestler, and he was really good, man. He really has a gimmick that kind of fits really well with his natural personality. And hearing his thoughts on kind of comparing the two industries, that was surprisingly a lot more insightful than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And then also lots going on with GSP and Diaz. We'll see if we can fit it all in. But let's get back to ESPN and the UFC. It seems like it's pretty clear that what they're committing to is 15 live 12-bout fight night cards. This outside of the television broadcast partner that they're going to take on once this deal expires here at the end of the year with Fox. So have you heard anything as far as like are we going to go over 50 events per year? Like, do you think they're still going to keep the 12 pay-per-views, the 24 events that are coming with a TV broadcast partner, and then these 15? I mean, we're close to 50 events if that happens, right? Or do I have that wrong?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot depends on how many they will give whoever the new TV partner is, and if the pay-per-view pace will stay the same. Because you could make an argument that there would be some sense in trimming down the pay. Just so that when you do have a pay-per-view, it really feels like something special, and that you're not going to pay-per-view with a weak product that's not going to sell many. Because pay-per-view, as we've seen, especially recently for the UFC, it's been a real kind of feast or famine business. And if you feel like you have too many pay-per-views that are just hovering down in the 200,000 or 300,000 buy range, and you want to consolidate it and just so that the pay-per-views is only a big-time thing, then that I think would probably be a good step. The problem is that's not terribly consistent with what we've seen the UFC do in the past. They usually are not about backing off, especially with something like that. That's such a huge part of their revenue expectations. So there's still a lot we don't know. We also don't know, are they going to try to squeeze in still some Fight Pass only events, if only to justify the continued existence of Fight Pass? Because with everything that we've heard so far about how the ESPN Plus thing is going to work, it sounds an awful lot like it'll be Fight Pass for half price. So why would you, if you're a fan, why would you keep paying for Fight Pass? They've got to answer that question if they want to keep Fight Pass around. And who knows, they might try to still have a few events that only are on Fight Pass.
If they don't nail this, and I'm talking about the UFC with the broadcast partner, because if they do go with the other rumor of Fox and NBC, and now we have ESPN Plus, and then they're always promoting Fight Pass and pay-per-view, are they at risk where even hardcore fans may just start skipping events? And you know what happens, Ben, you've heard it from many people. Some people skip an event. Hell, they sometimes tune out for 6 months and realize, oh, I'm good, and then all of a sudden maybe they are drawn back in. So is this risky business for them if they do spread themselves too thin?
Well, like you said, I think some of that has already been happening. That people have already kind of felt like they're drifting away a little bit from some of the more minor events, just because. And then the next thing you know, they don't know all the people. Somebody new is coming up, somebody like Darren Till, and they are not as excited as the other people who've been following along, just because they didn't pay attention to the rise. And that is always the risk of oversaturation. And so, yeah, that could definitely happen. Especially, it's hard to get new fans if you're putting more and more stuff behind a paywall, especially if it's kind of like your entry-level stuff. If you have to pay in order just to give this sport a shot and just to get into it, then you make it a little harder for yourself to create new fans. So, I mean, yeah, there is definitely a risk here, But then there's also a big upside to it. When you go with somebody like ESPN, where they're really trying to launch this streaming service, everybody thinks, streaming is going to be a part of their future, and so everybody wants to get in on it. And that's why the UFC is attractive to ESPN for something like this, is because the UFC has a hardcore fan base that will kind of follow it anywhere. And when you partner with ESPN, the upside to that is ESPN can still make a big impact in just kind of the mainstream sports world, and they can put you on their shows, they can hype up your upcoming pay-per-views. And when ESPN sees an opportunity to make money off of a sport, it typically pays a lot more attention to that sport and treats it a lot more legitimately. Like you see the way it barely acknowledges that hockey exists at times, because hockey has been on NBC. So when you're in good with ESPN on that side of it, then you have an incentive for ESPN to want to kind of pump you up a little bit. So I'm sure that's one of the things that the UFC is hoping for.
All right, just a couple quick things here. Dana White Contender Series is also included. Exclusive pre- and post-event shows for all 15 of those events that I said earlier. You have access to the full archive of programming, including library of past fights. New original all-access series produced by the UFC. So a lot coming to ESPN Plus for the $4.99 that they're advertising, or $49 for the year. Goze, what do you have for Ben Fowlkes?
Ben, we see right now the way things are with Fox, and sometimes when they're trying to put together a Fox card, they really want to make sure that there's certain fighters they love to be on the live Fox ones, on Big Fox. Certain cards cannot be touched. With ESPN, do you think that there'll be a little bit of a battle between ESPN and then possibly whoever the new partner is going to end up being, as far as getting star talent and all of those type of things?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's got to be an issue for anybody who signs any kind of broadcast deal with the UFC, whether it's TV or streaming. One of the big things that I would want to know if I were one of those TV or broadcast partners is how much say do I get over which fighters I get? Because it's not all created equal, as we've seen. And you're right that, like on Fox, you see a few names that keep popping up on the big Fox cards that clearly they're very interested in. But you also, if you're a broadcast partner and you're getting in with the UFC, and you've seen the way the UFC will save its best stuff for pay-per-view, and at times will kind of give you the leftovers, that's something I would want to make sure that I really addressed, and I had a good sense of how much say I'm going to get in that. Because if you just get whoever the UFC has on hand, who they have decided they can't sell on pay-per-view, that's not a great deal for you, especially for the kind of money that ESPN is paying to put this on a streaming service. So on either side of it, we've heard that maybe the production will be taken over by whoever signs the deal, that the UFC won't handle its own production quite so much anymore. And I would want a big say in exactly how these fight cards are crafted and who I'm getting.
You kind of dove into what my next question was going to be, and it was about production. That's something that the UFC has always tried to hold deep to their hearts. If they left it up to you, if Ben Fowlkes was part of this meeting and they said, Ben, what would you like to see change in production here with ESPN and the UFC? Is there anything that what would like your input be?
Well, I understand why in the early years, especially the UFC was really set on controlling its own production, because MMA just in general was still so new, and that it was the potential for somebody who didn't understand the sport and the space to come in and screw it up was really high. And, when I worked for the IFL briefly, I even saw when they worked with their TV partner who they gave it production to, that happened, just because somebody else who doesn't understand what the fans want to see, and they play to the wrong angles, and they can definitely screw up your product that way. But I think we're at a point, at this point, especially with the UFC, where if you've been paying attention, you kind of get a sense of what the product is, like how it needs to be presented, and you don't have to have that same fear. You don't have to be so tightly controlling of the production. And if there was one big change that I'd want to see the UFC make, is it would be nice to be able to watch a UFC broadcast and have it feel more like other sports broadcasts, where it doesn't feel like it's the company telling you about itself. Like when you watch an NFL game, or you watch a Major League Baseball game or something on TV, you get a sense that it's the people who work for the network who are putting it on. They're going to tell you what they think. The commentators are not beholden to the organization itself, and their perceptions and their comments are not molded by having bosses that are actually from the company itself. So, I would love to see that. We get some of that with Joe Rogan, especially in his later years, where he's entered a kind of don't give a damn phase when it comes to dealing with that stuff. He'll come right out and say that staph infection on the guy's chest this guy's back from a steroid suspension. You know, you want to see that kind of like honesty, and it's hard to get that when it feels like it's just company employees talking about the company that employs them.
That's a good point, and let me tell you that when you watch football on Fox and CBS, you'll notice the difference between that Thursday night game on the NFL Network. Pre, post, and during the actual broadcast. Very good point. All right, Dan, Tom, what do you have for Ben Fowlkes?
You know, man, just tying in the whole production angle and how that kind of juxtaposes with what we're talking about as far as oversaturation. I mean, I agree as far as the production side, as far as being able to see more of a professional thing like that. But the problem for me, Ben, and let me get your thoughts on this here, is regardless if the UFC keeps it or they entrust it to somebody else, if they spread out their cards so far, doesn't that also kind of water down the production, which also equals to lesser stars? Just a real quick example, I used Mike Goldberg's transition to Bellator, where you have a guy like Mike Goldberg who is forever with the UFC over in Bellator now, but he's still able to reference some fighters that may have started their career in the UFC Ultimate Fighter that are now over in Bellator, and he's still able to reference, you know, he fought right here on this channel, Spike, or, you know, or which is now Paramount, of course. But I get, do you get what I'm saying, and do you see the value there, and how do you think that juxtaposes into what we're talking about?
That is one of the questions with something like this, is the more you spread your product out across multiple different platforms, you know, you got ESPN streaming services, then you got a TV deal probably with somebody different, you got pay-per-views, you're asking your viewers to kind of follow you around a lot of different places. And so the more places you ask them to follow you, the more potential is that they get kind of lost along the way. So, and there also is, you know, the more you spread it out like this, we've seen just in recent years, there's only so much good stuff to go around, you know, at least as far as what the fans will regard as good stuff. And it's not going to be just as easy as like, well, we'll create new divisions or something, and then that does not necessarily create new stars that people actually care about. So that is going to be a challenge. And the thinner you spread the product, then the risk there is not only do you get fans who are kind of tuning out and just start to regard your product as if it's not something they absolutely have to see anymore, but also if you spread it out too thin, then you don't serve any one of those platforms very well.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. So we will wait for more details to come in. I think once the broadcast partner comes in, we'll know more.
Yeah.
The one thing that's still hanging over everyone is how many fights will that broadcast partner provide?
Scared.
In addition to what route they're going to go with pay-per-views, and then that's when we'll all find out if our 2019 is going to be a kick in the ass like some of these past few years have been. Ben, thank you so much for the time. We always appreciate it. And hopefully we can talk to you again soon when more details come in.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We'll see it. All right, give him a follow on Twitter at Ben Fowlkes MMA. And we're going to take our last break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Rush 93.
idiot! Yeah, you! Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goze? Thank you.
Let's head back to the phones. We'll probably commit to a few minutes of overtime. And let me thank all the guests for today. Aljamain Sterling, Ben Fowlkes, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Buccino, and, of course, our in-studio co-host, Stitch Duran. We're not done with him. We have a few questions left for him. But right now, we'll squeeze in Showtime from Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, Big Stitch?
What's up, Showtime? It's been a while.
Nothing much, man. I always try to make it my business to call into the show, man, when you co-host me. Are you going to be around International Fight Week, or you be working that week?
No, that's July 7th. I'll be in Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay, dang.
Hey, speaking of how's your calendar looking in October, the first week?
I don't know. I'll let you know. Well, what do you guys got going?
That's when our junkie gathering is.
October 12th, Bellator?
October 6th.
Okay, I'm open.
Yeah? Oh, cool.
Of course. I can't
That's
miss you
your
guys.
calendar?
Yeah, all the way to November.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Love to, man.
Why does it say Roberto's every other day?
Yeah. They already know.
So what's up, Showtime?
Hey, man, how about, man, today is the second day. I'm on this 10-day cleanse, man, and today is like my second day.
I saw
nothing,
that. He had these two
pills
jugs of, like, one
man.
was green beet juice or broccoli juice, or what, and the other one was, like, orange. He had, like, 3 or 4 of them, and, I mean, God, Showtime, you drive, man. You're going to be on the road. These bathrooms aren't that handy, and I don't think your truck is so sweet you got a bathroom in it. So did you take a few weeks off to do this?
Nah, man, I'm doing this. I'm toughing this out, man. Actually, I'm okay. This is the second time. I've done it before, man, and it's when I tell you it get the parasites out, man, it make you feel so good. It makes your skin and stuff look a lot more healthier, man. I just needed it. I could tell I had a bunch of toxins in me, man. I'm trying to get right for International Fight Week, man. I want to jump in the pool and take my shirt off, man, so get these abs back. So
parasites,
I'm trying to drop about 20 pounds.
You're saying parasites? Yeah, we all got them. I don't think I got.
Yeah, like tapeworms. I mean, people. It's more common than what you think of people having tapeworms, man.
What's coming
out?
Having
all kind of little mucus and all kind of stuff in your body.
Yeah, but I wash my hands after you use the bathroom. I don't worry about that stuff.
Hey, but like mucus, a friend of ours' wife did the cleanse, and she called. She had a parasite in her, man, probably about 10 inches long. So
Jesus Christ.
You think you look good on the outside, but man, you might not necessarily be as healthy as you think.
You ever done a cleanse, Stitch?
No, I didn't. I haven't. I've did like Dan, where for a week I ate nothing but fruits and vegetables and nuts. But then I went and took some ayahuasca. So that was the reason I did that for. Right?
That was the cleanse.
That was a cleanse.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Showtime. Well, I hope you feel better, and hopefully we didn't jinx you and your stomach explodes while you're on the road.
Shout
good
out
luck
to your
with that.
tapeworm, Fred. That's what I'm calling him.
All right, guys.
All right, see you.
All right, Showtime.
Sirius XM audience, we are going to stick around for a few minutes. You can't catch any of that unless you migrate over to facebook.com/official MMA Junkie or youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. It's our video component. So if you ever want to kind of catch on to what people are doing here in studio, you can always catch that. They're both available on demand, as is the show on the SiriusXM app. Tomorrow's show will have Lance Palmer, Joseph Benavidez, and Matt Schnell in studio. We'll catch you tomorrow, SiriusXM audience. That's it.
And your one-arm bandits crashing, almost hauled down the drain. People, Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again.
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, a couple things. Matt Erickson is prominent in this Kerry Wood documentary. I guess it's 20 years ago. This guy, young pitcher, Kerry Wood, I know who he is. He threw 20 strikeouts in a game. Matt Erickson, our assistant editor on the site, he happened to be there. He had a full head of hair back then. And somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, you want to hold up K's when Kerry Wood strikes people out? Because Kerry was known for just having a lot of heat. And they anticipated, that there might be a few there. And he said, okay. He was a bleacher bum, basically, out in Chicago. And so they actually interview him a few times. But you can see a full head of hair for Matt Erickson. And he's the fourth K. So check it out. It's really, really cool. I started watching it, and I'm actually digging it. Stitch looking sharp there, man. You did you drop a few pounds for the movie or anything? And
No,
I
they
like
just
your
had-
shirt and the crease.
Oh yeah, of course.
Looking
I like
sharp.
your creases too. Dan, I need to talk to you,
I
brother.
know,
I know. He's not busting them. No, but you know what? They had us working so many hours, and they took good care of us. And I think just from working, usually I'm a couch potato. I fly out on Fridays, do the fight Saturday, and come home Sunday. But this one they actually had me working. But no, I feel good. Thank God. Yeah.
And did you have your own trailer? Or
had my own trailer, the whole works and everything. But they have in Philadelphia they have studios just like they do in Hollywood. So they have like 3 big old buildings, 1, 2, and 3, and there we had rooms, TVs, couches, and all that. So. Yeah,
like dorm style, barrack style?
No, just nice rooms and
like a hotel style.
Yeah, exactly. And had my name on the door and all that stuff. So.
Craft service.
Craft service. As soon as I get there,
so you wanted a snack, you had a snack.
Anything and everything I wanted, And they pick me up at the hotel and take me to the studio and bring me back. And
how'd you do with the lines? Were you always on point, or did you ever forget?
Well, they were pretty much online, And the thing about it, Sly and I, and we ad-libbed a lot. What do you do during a normal fight? Because you guys can't script it because you just don't know the circumstances, right? But we threw a lot of the things in there, and Sly and I kind of joked around a time or two, Michael B. Jordan. So it was fun. I had a great time, man, and looking forward to going back on the 21st just to finish the finale, which I think is the final round of the final fight, and then people in the ring and all that, so should be fun. Should be energy filled.
I know when celebrities show up and they walk in their trailer, usually it's called a rider. It's the things that they request to be there when they get there. What are on yours?
I only wanted white M&Ms.
White M&Ms?
Yeah, and white roses.
Mariah
That's it.
Carey
Just like J Lo, right? Always one of them. Nah, the thing about it, I was very humble on doing that. But Sly wanted a trailer, and he got a trailer that's probably about as big as a house. But that's Sly. He's a horse of a different color. But, it was great, man. You go through wardrobe, and every morning you get there, and your clothes are pressed, and same ones, and they're ironed. And, they got 2 or 3 different sets, and they're always checking on you, and they're taking the lint off. If your hair has to be fixed, they'll fix that during the cuts and all that. So
no giant bag of beef jerky?
No, none of that.
Are Sundays off?
Weekends are off, and that's why I could do that fight at the Barclays Center with Jesse Vargas and Broner. And that's why I did the Fedor fight, because I would take off on Friday, do the fight Saturday, and get back. So weekends were off.
Did you during the week? Do you guys all hang together, or are you so tired you just go back?
Yeah, you're just so drained, man. You just go and do what you got to do. Pocket, either one, me, we're always together. But yeah, you just go and eat and go and rest, because lobby calls 6:30 in the morning.
How much do you see Sly during those weeks of filming outside of your lines?
Every day. I mean, we were there just like we are here, working together.
Can you have time to shoot the shit in between?
Yeah.
Scenes, or is it just like away from the other side?
No. We shot we had a lot of downtime. Whenever you change an angle to any movie, it's cameras and lighting and all that. So we sit around a lot. But on the last time, Sly used to bust my balls with Edward James almost. You're more like Edward James almost, right? Well, this one, it was Carlos Santana. Give him a guitar. There's some stuff that he would throw during the script. They're going to cut it out. He knows they're going to cut it out.
So, hey, Stitch, Santana.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a guitar. But I tell you what, he was so sharp that he would go out and do his thing, and the director saying, all right, ready, almost action. And in action, they get 10, 15 seconds. He'll make it back in time, so you knew everybody depended on Sly. Director would go over there and say, all right, Sly, we're going to start this one. Are you ready to go? He would be right on point. So, and Michael B. Jordan, got to give him credit, man. This kid is the young superstar. And we did the last scenes were locker room scenes, and we're parked up at Temple, University of Temple, and all these girls are outside the gates waiting for him, And we did one of the scenes at the Philadelphia Stadium, so we got to take a picture with the Super Bowl trophy and the whole works. That was kind of nice. That was a special event. So it's been great, man. I'm just glad to be part of it.
Wow.
What would you have done if, when you were flipping through the script, you just happened to catch something there. It said, and that's the last time we ever saw Stitch with a mustache. Did you freak out? Is that where you call your agent and go, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. You know, hey, man, you know what? I've had this since I was 12 years old, you know. I can't. That's my M.O., right?
Like La Barba?
Like La Barba.
Yeah. Since 12, you've always had a mustache?
Nah, exactly. I was in high school. Actually, I was
in the military. You probably had
in
to
the
take
military.
it off. Right?
No, I had it on in the military.
But I mean, the first few days.
Yeah.
Doesn't it all come off?
Actually, I didn't have one on during basic training. You're right. And then after that, I started growing it. No, not when I was 12.
So it would take a lot for someone to say, "Hey, we need you to lose it for this role."
Well, hey, man, I'm Hollywood. You know, I'm an actor now. Actually, they paid for my SAG card. You know, it was like $3,500, man.
What?
Yeah.
That's how much a SAG card is?
Yeah, because I guess SAG was saying, you know what, this guy's been in all these movies and he's never paid. Because I used to come under Taft Hartley, which means I came in as a specialist doing what I do in my specialty. So I wouldn't have to be a member. But after, 6 or 7 movies, they said, nah, man, this guy's sliding too many times. But Kenny Bayless and Robert Bird, the referees from here, top referees, were and also will be in the movies. They did a great job in working some of those fights.
Have they already talked about a Creed 3? Or do you know anything?
I don't know anything about it, man.
Do you have any other possible movie projects?
Well, you're talking about Narcos, right? And my agent is friends with the producer of Narcos, and he sent him a email that Stitch is so-and-so and this and that. And just one day, like I said, I don't want to be typecast as a cutman. I am. But I would like to either be a cop, be a terrorist, or be a cartel. Narcos would be okay, but I'm not looking for it. I mean,
Did they reply, or you're not there?
Nah, I'm not privileged to that. And if it happens, it happens. But shit just happens.
And what would be your nickname?
I don't know. You tell me, Goze. You're good at that.
I would have.
So it would have to be without glasses. If I was a cop, I could wear glasses, right? But if I was a cartel, I'd have to take my glasses off.
Now, all right, you're not gonna like this, but I would have you play a vet, and here's what's gonna happen: like an actual animal vet.
Okay.
They take you to him because they need somebody patched up. And so you're working on a dog, and then all of a sudden you walk in the room.
Bullet wounds.
Fuck it, all right, and then you start you're pulling out bullet wounds and shit.
Okay, te va a doler.
Yeah.
What's his nickname? The vet.
His nickname?
The vet. Yeah. What would be the nickname?
Habla perros.
Talk dogs.
The dog whisperer.
What if Stallone?
I don't know.
What if Stallone had a role for it and he's like, "Hey Stitch, I got the Mexican Wyatt Earp, except he's called almost Santana. You want to play him?"
Hey, I'm in, brother. I like that, almost Santana. I like that.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll put that on my fake ID, man.
I'll have to show it to you guys.
Almost Santana.
You guys will get a kick out of it. All right. Well, Stitch, safe travels to whatever you got going on, and hopefully we can have you back this summer and do another catch-up.
Yes, of course. Good to be back, man.
Hear some more of the Bellator stories and any of the boxing stories you got coming up. I really want to hear how it goes for you in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
When's that trip again?
July 7th.
July 7th. Okay, yeah. Man, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, listen to the music, man. Maybe that's a sign.
Remember we were trying to get Colby to walk out to this?
Yeah.
We've had some good ideas for those guys out
there.
You have. And they haven't taken them up. Kevin was supposed to have Stitch walk in with them.
Yeah.
Colby was supposed to walk out with this. I mean, I'm fucking writing scripts for these guys.
That would have been great for Colby.
Here you go, man. What more do you want?
I'm
trying to put paper in your pocket, and they're like, they like it then, and then when push comes to shove.
Probably because we hit them with like 100 crazy ideas, and then there's there's a gem in there.
But that would have been a good one for Colby, man.
Yeah, everyone loves the Netflix show Narcos. Yeah. Have you seen Chapo, by the way?
I have, of course.
Did you like it?
I did.
Did you see both seasons?
Yes.
Goze was a little reluctant. I convinced him, but he actually tipped his hat to me and said that was a good one.
Sobriendo Escobar. Surviving
That's
Escobar.
another one.
Yeah. That's a great one, man.
You've seen it?
Yes,
all
man.
60 episodes?
Oh, we binged, man. Me and Charlotte, my wife, binged.
Oh,
man.
wow. I saw it too, but I wasn't sure if I should direct him to it because it took so long.
Yeah. 60 episodes.
60
episodes. It was tremendous, though, man. Yeah.
That's not a binge. That's you. You went into hiding, man.
Oh, man, I was, literally.
What'd you think of that weasel guy, El Potro?
Oh, yeah, it was cool, man. Even Don Harold's girlfriend, huh? Oh, she was high.
Don Jairo's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which one? I'm losing it. Wait.
Harold's girlfriend.
Jota Jota?
Jota. No,
His
Jota.
first lady?
Yeah, yes, the first lady.
Yeah, she was money.
She was money. It was good, man. It was
she
good
had
series.
the Uriah Faber chin, huh?
Yeah. You got to check it out.
She did?
Yeah, but trust me, man, you get over it quickly.
I don't know.
Rochelle Leah's got one of those, and she's beautiful.
I don't even think I've ever seen a girl with a Uriah Faber.
Really?
Chin. Yeah.
Remember, Rochelle Lee has been in our studio.
Yeah, but I don't remember having them.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody focuses on that.
Right.
You'll quickly forget about the other girl. One more for you for your next travels. Cobra Kai on YouTube.
It's a good one, huh?
It's a good one. It's basically Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, who portrayed John Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso in Karate Kid. They come back, but they're older now, obviously. But you'll like it. It's got a little bit of a corniness to it, but it's still good. Michael Chavello just binge watched it. He loved it. A lot of people are really digging it.
All right.
So check that one
on
out.
Netflix.
Yeah.
No, that one's on YouTube.
On YouTube. Oh, okay.
Dude, it's hard to keep track, man. Amazon, Netflix,
That's the big
Hulu,
thing.
fucking YouTube. You know, this thing with the UFC, ESPN Plus. I don't know what the hell to do.
That's the big thing is streaming right now.
Pretty soon we're going to be just taking off the satellite on our homes and just doing everything on the internet. I don't know. All right, so we are out of here. Thanks again, Stitch.
Oh, my pleasure, guys.
And folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for staying over time. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. So go out there and be a champion.